Alright, Dark Ages is a new game, and I mean it. Every modern Doom game is as fresh as it gets. This should be clear now. ID Software has made it clear that every Doom is a different Doom, and I'll be comparing Dark Ages with Eternal and see what has changed. Both the games are 5 years apart. Overall, I enjoyed Doom the Dark Ages, but it does come with some nuances. Art and entertainment is subjective. So I will speak on what I believe are the most important aspects of the game and towards the end, list it out so you may decide if you'd like to pick it up. This time around, the focus on story is very apparent. Chronologically, the Dark Ages comes before Doom 2016, long before Hell's invasion of both Mars in 2016 and Earth in Eternal. The Night Sentinels and their allies are locked in a furious war with the forces of Hell. Doomslayer is used as a super weapon to help turn the tide in favor of humanity. The theme is futuristic medieval, and Doomslayer looks more badass than ever. Armor plated, spikes all around, a cape and a shield which double downs as a freaking chainsaw. Most of the story is told through cinematics, so compared to Eternal, the story has some substance now with more motives and a few new characters, but still quite not there yet. The delivery of some scenes just did not hit as hard as I expected it to. The story of Eternal was a lot more linear and simple, not that I think it's any better. I think Dark Ages does a better job here in the sense that it has more substance. Plot-wise though, it is pretty generic. Anyways, it's a Doom game, I'm not playing it for the story. So I want to quickly jump to the good part, the gameplay, because this is where the franchise shines the brightest and where the two games don't feel the same. Of course, the core gameplay is similar. As any other Doom game, you get a set of guns, around 8, ranging from shotguns, launchers, plasma rifles, miniguns, and the mighty BFG. Weapons have up to 2 special triggers, changing how they function. Every one of these feel incredible to use. You drop into chapters, fight hordes of demons, complete the objective, and move on to the next chapter. The combat, however, is almost revamped completely. In Eternal, you have a plethora of tools at your disposal. The Glory Kill, Chainsaw, Blood Punch, 2 types of nades, the Crucible, and also the Quick Swap, each with its own use case and purpose. Ammo scarcity is very apparent, and Eternal also has a focus on enemy weaknesses. So you have to match your weapon to the enemy type, especially on the higher difficulties. This results in the combat being very thought-provoking. It's more strategic, like chess. You match your weapons to the enemy type, freeze your enemies to buy time, use the Crucible to get rid of high-value demons, constantly using the Chainsaw and Blood Punch for ammo and health. The game is asking you to use your entire arsenal. Moving to Dark Ages, what has changed? First, no, the glory kills have not been removed. If you have heard otherwise, then those sources have not played the game. Glory kills are still there, but they are far less frequent. All the tools Eternal has, it's gone. The quick swap is gone, even the chainsaw is gone. Instead, you get the shield and a melee weapon. Melee acts as how the chainsaw did. It will drop ammo, and the shield, which is a major part of the combat, pretty much lets you do everything Captain America could. Block, parry, throw it, or even leap into your targets. The combat here is closer to 2016 than to Eternal. Sandbox in nature if you must, wherein you have the liberty to play the game as you wish, with the guns and playstyle you favor the most. And the guns, the blends of medieval theme brings us some brand new weapons. I think this is worth a highlight. The Pulverizer is shooting bone fragments, and a chain cannonball gun. Pretty badass if you ask me. One thing to mention here, Eternal allows you to use both the weapon modifications at the same time. With the press of a button, you swap one to the other during real-time combat. Doom the Dark Ages locks you into a playstyle during real-time combat. What I mean is if you want to use the other modification option, you have to pause and manually swap them in the menu. I must say this time around the focus is on parry and melee. Melee does feel significantly stronger than the previous titles. For example, a regular combo I was using on my playthrough was the shield bash into melee to quickly get rid of some annoying demons. That is the power melee holds. See, Eternal has double dashes, double jumps. Also, we have the monkey bars and jump pads lying around everywhere. This makes Eternal very fast-paced. The Dark Ages has none of these. What you do have is the shield bash. This lets you leap towards a demon instantly. There are charges on these, but the recharge is quite fast. Thanks to this, the Dark Ages combat does not feel slow. Yes, it is slower than Eternal, and a lot of it also comes from the level design itself. So let's talk about that next. In Eternal, levels are quite linear and very vertical. There are platforms, and you are encouraged to make use of all the tools previously mentioned to stay agile and move in accordance to what the current encounter demands. The Dark Ages mostly gets rid of all of that. Levels are horizontal, and you are encouraged to strafe, block, and parry to avoid damage instead. Let's look at it like this. In an RPG, you have the dexterity-based character, like a rogue, agile, quick, and witty. That's Eternal's field. Then you have the strength-based character, a tank, beefy, strong, and brutal. That's the Dark Ages. Both games have variety here. Every level has a new location with some platforming and puzzle solving. Again, these are fairly simple, but I found Eternal's platforming to be a little bit too much for my liking, where I was constantly hoping for them to just remove them entirely. The Dark Ages has reduced this quite a bit. There are minor platforming here and there. I think this is a step in the right direction. The puzzles though, I think Dark Ages have done a better job here. Some puzzles for the collectibles are quite unique, incorporating illusions and mind-twisting portions. I like the effort here. I believe it's a step up from Eternal. Dark Ages also introduces mech and dragon gameplay. It's more of a spectacle than anything. The gameplay doesn't really have much depth to it, but it is pretty badass, not gonna lie. So by now we know Doom has a focus on exploration. This is done by tying progression with it. Both have upgradable stats, namely health, armor, and ammo. Other than that, there are upgradable weapon modifications, suit upgrades, and runes. In both games, progression is locked behind collectibles out in the map. The Dark Ages innovates on this. Runes are now upgradable and you can only equip one of them to enhance your shield. You do not have suit upgrade. Instead, you get to upgrade your shield and your melee weapons. Although both games have linear progression, Dark Ages is slightly better in terms of customization thanks to the shield and up to 3 melee options. There's a decent effort that build synergies revolving around your shield, melee, and weapon of choice. Like parrying fully charges your chain shot, or shocking will empower your cycler damage. Weapons and their modifications are a bit more unique and have some thought put into them. One more thing which is new here, which I really appreciate, your stat upgrades, health, armor, and ammo, are now acquired by fighting empowered demons on the map instead of yet another collectible. See, I'm not a fan of this whole progression is a result of exploration thing. I constantly find myself opening my map after every encounter to make sure I have not missed anything, forcing myself to stray away from the pace of the game. It really does not help that the Dark Ages has a large open world style map. I found myself shooting less and exploring more, and that really sucks. I feel like this is an artificial way to prolong the game campaign. Eternal felt slightly better here thanks to the linear map style. For collectible, I understand this approach, but for core progression, I would much rather love this approach of tying it into the gameplay itself. I hope future Doom games incorporate this more. Now quickly finishing up with graphics and performance. Doom the Dark Ages is graphically a superior game. Not that Eternal looks bad, I think this is a given considering hardware capabilities. Aesthetics are also different. Eternal is flashier and more arcade-like. Doom the Dark Ages returns to be darker. The lighting is not as bright as Eternal is. Environments are dark and gloomy. Performance on Eternal was great. The game has aged well and I did not experience any issues at all. The Dark Ages, however, could use some improvements. I played on PC 4K on the highest settings and did experience a few drops here and there. And unlike some people, I did not face a single crash. There's a mixed bag. Some people have experienced performance issues, some minor and some major like crashing, while others have not faced any issue at all. And the music, I think it is a step down. I don't know what it is. I'm not very good at expressing music and I did not feel the same as I did whilst playing 2016 and Eternal. It just does not go as hard as before. Not sure what it is missing. I finished my playthrough for Eternal at around 15 hours and Dark Ages took me 20. Most of which was me just trying to get most out of the collectibles. Finally, I would like to point out one last thing, which is the price tag. Doom Eternal comes at 40 USD and the Dark Ages doubles it at 80 USD. Personally, I do not think the price tag is justified. Don't get me wrong, the Dark Ages is a very fun game with some replayability coming from different playstyles and different customization options, but the core game itself is about 16, 17, maybe 20 hours. I also expect the game to be perfectly optimized at the price tag. As such, I cannot recommend the game at its full price. Personally, I've opted for the Game Pass. With that, I think we have covered most of what I think is important. Let's look at what we have learned. Both games are single-player FPS games. If you are a fan of the genre, they are both great. Eternal has a lighter lore, pacing is fast and is cinematic. Dark Ages is heavier on cutscenes, has more substance in the plot, but it is still generic. Neither nails it. Better than before, but still not the main reason you play Doom. Eternal is fast-paced and mobile, and also has a ton of tools at your disposal, and the game urges us to play by its rules. Dark Ages comparatively is slower and grounded, and major focus revolves around the shield, parrying and blocking. It's more sandbox, similar to 2016. You can take your favorite gun and finish the campaign no problem. It is still fun but lacks the depth Eternal offers. Dark Ages is more brute force with timing and parries. Eternal's level design is linear, vertical, parkour heavy, lots of jump pads and mobility options. Dark Ages is flat, has horizontal layouts and a larger open map with emphasis on strafing, blocking and parry. Dark Ages also introduces mech and dragon gameplay. Puzzles and parkouring are core in both games, but I find it to be a bit too much in Eternal. Again, Eternal's exploration in comparison is very linear. Dark Ages have larger maps, more open-ended, but pacing really suffers due to exploration on such maps. Eternal respects your time. Dark Ages sometimes stalls the action. Both games follow similar progression design. You unlock more tools as you progress the story. I give a slight edge to Dark Ages for innovation, but still fairly linear overall. The aesthetics of Eternal is flashy and arcadey. Dark Ages is dark, medieval, and moody with gothic visuals. The music from the Dark Ages just did not hit as hard. Mick Gordon's absence is definitely felt here. And finally, the value. Eternal comes at 40 USD. Great content to price ratio if you ask me, but Dark Ages comes at 80. Hard to justify unless you're on Game Pass. Twice the price doesn't mean twice the game. If you're a fan of the Doom franchise, the Dark Ages brings enough innovation to feel new but not enough polish to feel premium. It's more grounded, more brutal, and more deliberate, but it's also less fluid, less flashy, and a bit bloated with forced exploration. Doom Eternal is still the king of flow and finesse. The Dark Ages is the tank cousin with a shield and some anger issues. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.